Hello, dear viewers and also listeners. Welcome to Zahedi's English Mastery. In this episode, we're going to dive deep into one of the most important topics that we have in today's podcast with one of the most intelligent, the most talented, and one of the top scorer of the TOEFL test, Mr. Azimi, and this is Zahedi. So, at the very beginning, I'd like to tell you something about Mr. Azimi. He's actually one of the top scorer of the TOEFL test, 100 plus actually. And he's also one of the greatest instructors I've ever met in my life um, regarding teaching English to the people who want to start learning it as their second language or as a foreign language. So, firstly, let's hear something from Mr. Azimi, and then we'll have our own questions regarding this topic.
Hello, dear viewers and friends and listeners. Thank you so much, Mr. Zahedi, for having me today. This is a great pleasure to have a conversation about you regarding the TOEFL. And I guess it is a very important topic and everybody needs to know something about it. And it is truly and magnificently my pleasure to be here with you today.
Thank you so much, Mr. Azimi. That's also our own pleasure to have you here, and also it's really a great honor to us. So, let's get started with the first question that we have here. It's about what is TOEFL actually. As far as I know, it is one of the most authentic and also standardized international tests that we have in the world, and people usually take it to measure their proficiency in English language to be accepted in some fields. So, what else do you know about TOEFL?
Thank you. So the TOEFL, most people are familiar. The people who listen to this podcast, I believe they are familiar with this test, and it is an English proficiency test. It is offered by ETS, an organization in America. This TOEFL test is used to evaluate the students' reading, speaking, writing, and listening. And this test actually was designed to help the students prove their English proficiency so that they can apply for particular jobs or scholarships or for a student visa. It is used for different purpose. And actually, TOEFL is an abbreviation. It stands for Test of English as a Foreign Language. And it is a very popular test, and it is widely accepted by over thousands of institutions and universities worldwide, and it is accepted by over 190 countries all around the world, including Asian countries, European countries, and America and Australia. All the countries accept this test as a proof of English language proficiency. The students who have this score, this certification, they will be eligible for most scholarships and jobs worldwide. And I believe this test really opens endless doors of opportunities, and a lot of people can have it can bring a significant change in their lives, I believe. And that's why I strongly recommend for the students who are learning English to study English at the level that they can take the test and score a good number so that they can be benefit from this test.
That's great. And for a long time, I was wondering why lots of people actually in the pursuit of taking TOEFL pro classes, and most of them are just trying to ace this test. It means to get the highest score as much as possible. So that's everyone's goal and also aim in today's world, because, as you said, there are lots of scholarships and also universities in the world, and especially if you want to go to one of the American countries to continue your education, they need you to be eligible and to be certified by the TOEFL test and to have a good score in this. Uh, actually, so let's have something more about the structure of the TOEFL test. It means all about the 4 skills that we have in this test, including reading, writing, listening, also speaking. So what is the order of these skills in the TOEFL test? What was first and after that and up to the end? And what do you think about the structure of this test for students?
Okay, thank you. That's a nice question. Before I jump to the structures of the TOEFL, I would like to clarify something. I believe that is important to know. A lot of the students are just struggling to score 100 plus and over 100, 104.6 as much as they can. The truth is, you don't have to score 100 plus or 105 or 100, let's say 10 and 15. The TOEFL doesn't. The TOEFL test is actually required by different universities, and they have a limit, and they just set how much number you should have. Some universities require TOEFL 70. Some universities require 80, and most European universities and a scholarship, as far as I know, like D80 German Exchange Academic Service, is requiring students to have 79 or 80. So see, 79 and 80 is pretty easy. Every student can achieve this score, I believe. That's not a big deal. What I want to say is, do not be obsessed with scoring the highest. That's not important. Okay, what's important is your ultimate goal, your ultimate purpose. Your ultimate goal might be achieving the scholarship, like D80 or achieving whatever that is. So try to just score as much as needed, okay, for the scholarship purpose or for your ultimate goal. And to the structure of the TOEFL, I would like to say it is ordered as, first of all, okay, when you go to the test center and when you come from the test, you have the waiting section. After waiting, you complete, you do have the listening, and then you have the speaking, and lastly, you have the writing. So this is the structures of this is the order of the skills in a TOEFL test. And this actually, if you have heard of this, TOEFL is not just about your grammar knowledge. It is never evaluating the grammar nor vocabulary. There's not okay, too many vocabulary questions on TOEFL. Just the only grammar and vocabulary question we have on TOEFL, it might be one or two questions, not many. So the first section, okay, of the TOEFL is reading. It has two passages, and each passage has 10 questions, and you do have 35 seconds to finish this section. The second section is the listening. In the listening sections, you have got 28 questions, and there are two conversations with three lectures, and you have to be done almost okay for 36 or 35 minutes. You need to be done with this section. And the third section of the TOEFL is the speaking, and you have got 4 tasks, 4 prompts, 4 questions, and each will take you about 1 minute to be done. So the speaking is pretty concise and short, and what you need to is just show, okay, you can speak under the time limit. And the last one is the writing section, which has 2 task or questions. One of them is the integrated writing essay. The other one is academic discussion, which is pretty independent, I believe. The first task on writing is requiring to listen and read and then write a response. And the last one is giving and expressing opinions. This is the structures of the TOEFL that we have, and most students might be familiar with, I guess.
Yeah, outstanding information, Mr. Azimi. And actually, most of the time, lots of students ask me, when should we take the test? And the kind of answer that I usually give them is that as late as possible. Well, because most of the time that people are just in a hurry to take the test, and they think that it's gonna be just a kind of experience and nothing else. It's not a big deal, but they don't think that they're actually wasting their time without any purpose. So before taking the test, they should have a kind of, for example, pro schedule, and then they should go to that center to take the test. And before booking that test, they have to be ready, and they have to be sure that, yeah, I'm ready. And also, before taking the test, they have to take lots of other mock tests and also lots of other tests that can help them to get familiar to the structure of the test, and also remove the stress and be kind of known to the test and the type it is taken. So what do you think about the kind of schedule that you can give the people as an advice?
Okay, that's a brilliant question. I do have pretty similar questions from students. One of my student, actually, it was the very first level. Um, he just finished elementary 1 and 2, and he was studying level 1 with me. He asked, I want to take the TOEFL test. What can I do? What schedule do I need to have? Well, it was the very beginning, the first to the students thinking about the TOEFL. One thing I would like to tell you, friends, is first of all, you must have finished one language program. You have to receive a DEL, Diploma in English Language, After that, you have to evaluate yourself and you have to see how much English knowledge and awareness you have. Then you can, okay, set the schedule for yourself to take the test. So the first thing you do is graduating from, let's say, a center, finishing DL, Diploma in English Language. So after that, you evaluate yourself, and or somebody else can do this for you, your teacher. Then he can set you a schedule to take the test. For example, well, my students right now, they are studying the FST class with me. So they are just learning the question types and understanding some general information about the TOEFL. But what I am asking them to do is improving their comprehension, building awareness, and improving their English awareness. Because TOEFL is not just about TOEFL is very different from any kind of test we do have in Afghanistan. It is very different from Concours. For example, for Concours, you study many different books, okay, from 10, 11, and 12th grade. And then you go and take the test. TOEFL is not about that. TOEFL is never repeat questions from the sources you read. There's always something new on the TOEFL. The reading is new, the listening might be new, everything is totally new for the test takers on TOEFL. So what you need is improving your awareness, because TOEFL does not evaluate or test your memory. It's a test of actually comprehension and test of awareness, a test of how much you know in English. So if I'm to give the students again the structure, okay, you have just mentioned, okay, you should take the test as late as possible, because you must, okay, save enough time to prepare for this. You don't have to finish, okay, let's say Longman official guide, so you're ready. No, you cannot be ready for just learning the official guide and the Longman or any other book or textbooks. You just need to work on your English awareness, like listening to a lot of podcasts, watching a lot of movies, reading many different books, doing all these things, okay, will prepare you. So it is very difficult to tell students how much you should study so you can pass the test. So if you feel that your English is somehow good, what I recommend students is to spend at least 6 months, okay, to prepare for the TOEFL. For example, my students are graduated now. I advise them to at least, okay, dedicate 6 months of their time for the test, because it's this is not actually a cheap test. It is a very expensive one. You have to pay $250, which is a big amount of money in Afghanistan. So what you need is giving some time, preparing yourself, and just evaluate. And you have to take the test when you feel that you're ready. That's what you should do.
Yeah, exactly. You're right about whatever you said, Mr. Azimi. And we actually talking about the international test, which is actually taken by lots of international students in the world. But we wanted to focus on Afghan students too, because most of the time they have some kinds of misconceptions or misunderstandings about the test, the way it is taken. Also, they think that as soon as they graduate from a center and also they've already studied English and that's all, and it's over, now it's time to take the TOEFL test. Yeah, you can do it, actually, but you have to be also thinking about your motivation, the encouragement of this kind of test. For example, the consequences of this test. For example, you want to take the test. Once you get, for example, 80 scores, so now then you think that, oh, that's actually not too much. That's not what I expected, and then you're getting discouraged gradually. So you have to be ready enough to take the test and also get the highest score. And then at that moment, you will be motivated more and more. And also you'll be encouraged to actually achieve lots of other things too. So it means before doing such kinds of risky things, we have to think about its size too. Great job. Yeah. And the next question is about skills that we already talked about. Now, what do you think, Mr. Azmi, about which skill should be prioritized over the other skills to focus on at the very beginning of taking the TOEFL prep classes and also to take the test?
Well, that's a very fantastic question. Difference, the English language skills, any skills in any language, okay, is categorized into two parts. First of them, we have an input. The other one, we have got the output, the receptive skills, and the productive skills. So a lot of the students are obsessed about their speaking. They complain that they don't have very nice speaking. Their speaking is not fluent. They cannot express themselves very vividly, and they always have this problem. But I guess, and I believe, okay, the problem is not their speaking, the problem is not their writing. The problem is in their reading, number one, and listening, the number two. Why? Okay, the problem is with the reading. A lot of the students say, oh, sir, we do know reading. When I read the text, I can understand. Well, dear friends, that's not reading. Reading is not just about, okay, reading a paragraph so you're fluent, you understand the main idea, that's it. That's not reading. Reading is about studying or reading 5 to 10 pages every day. That is called reading. Listening is not about listening to 1 minute, okay, conversation or lecture and you understand. That's not listening. Listening is about listening to 30 or 1 hour podcasts every day, or watching a movie, or let's say watching some English videos, English speech, TED Talks. We have got so many other resources. That's about the listening. One of the biggest problem that students have in Afghanistan is reading, because Afghan students are not used to actually read books, not in their own language, not in their native language, but also in English language. They do not study a lot. They don't focus on the reading. When students read, okay, what happens? When students read, okay, they learn a lot of sentence structure, they learn a lot of vocabularies, they get English informations and awareness, they get a lot of, okay, let's say knowledge, and later they can apply them in the listening sections, in the writing sections, and the speaking section. So, for example, you read a passage regarding an academic, let's say, topic. It could be about paleontology, whatever that is. So you read the passage and you know some sentence structure, you know the phrases. And later you listen to, for example, a video related to the same topic, let's say paleontology. You watch or listen a documentary, then you can understand. Okay, I read something about it before. So see, there is a connection between information in your head, and you can have a pretty a nice information about it. And later in the speaking sections, we have got integrated task. You read, you listen, then you speak. So the topic might be from those academic subjects. And when you do know about those subjects, okay, before, so the speaking section will be easy for you. The same thing, okay, happens in writing. The first question is integrated. You read, you listen, then you write a response, okay, from the two sources. So that's why I strongly recommend each and every one of you to focus on your reading, because reading is very important. Last winter, there was a class, an online class actually, organized by an American organization, and I was hired as a teacher actually for 1 hour. It was for a short time, it was for 2 months. So the organization particularly suggested me to work with the students with the reading. And I was wondering why they just asked me to work on the reading. Why not okay with their speaking, with listening? So I come to this conclusion, okay, that those people found out that the students okay reading was not okay really appropriate. So what we should prioritize is the reading and then the listening. These two skills are very important.
Yes, you're true about this, Mr. Azimi, because I also experienced lots of things in the reading section, because it's also a kind of difficult thing to me too, because it needs courage, it needs gut, it needs patience, it needs effort to become a good reader, because reading is not just about moving your eyes quickly over the lines or just the words, right? It's about comprehension of the text that you want. So here we also need some skills, because without these skills, it's not possible to have the good reading skill actually, and also to take the reading test very well. For example, scanning, skimming, previewing, for example, note taking, especially note taking, because without note taking, it's not possible, because our mind doesn't have this capacity, to remember all the information,
Yeah.
and it's gonna be a kind of waste of time to have back and forth to the question, to the reading passage, and then get back to the question, get back to the reading passage. We're just wasting our time. Yeah. Okay. So and lots of students, I usually see, they're just, for example, watching different kinds of movies, watching different kinds of lessonings. For example, sometimes you see that, for example, the level of the student's A1, and he's watching a video, for example, on TikTok, for example, somewhere else. They're just watching, for example, a film or a movie, and they think that, yeah, that's actually improving my English, regardless of thinking about this, that they're actually wasting their time. Besides, they're just getting discouraged because they don't know 95% of that movie. But the rule is that we have to know 95% of that video that you want to watch or listen to. So here, what do you think about what inputs should they take? What should they watch? And what should they do to improve their listening?
Yeah, that's okay. A very nice question. Thank you. So, you're right, okay? Students are in elementary classes, but they're watching videos that even advanced or let's say upper intermediate students cannot comprehend and understand. So, students have to know that they have to watch, listen, and read materials, okay, that are appropriate for their level. For example, we have got so many resources out there on YouTube for elementary students. We have resources for the intermediate students, pre-intermediate, and intermediate, and upper intermediate advanced students. And right now, a lot of students are asking for the resources, for the materials, English materials, so that they can improve their English language skills. What I say is, there is so much information. There's so many resources out there, in particular on YouTube. What you need, okay, is just understanding what you should do. For example, if you study elementary classes, go find some videos related to elementary students, because on YouTube you can find any kind of video from elementary to advanced levels. And that's why find the resources that is easy for you, understandable for you, you can comprehend it. You're not supposed to, if you're elementary students, you're not expected to watch videos that even advanced students cannot comprehend. You cannot watch movie if you're elementary student, because watching movie requires a great deal of understanding in both listening and reading. And if you don't have the two, it will be difficult for you. So you will become discouraged, you become frustrated, and you become disappointed, and you will see no progress. And then you have to leave because it doesn't work for you. So find the materials that is okay, right for you. My recommendation is go to YouTube and just write your level and ask for the materials, okay, that is appropriate for you.
Yes, exactly. Lots of students should remove these kinds of misunderstandings about listenings that they want to choose to listen to. So now let's focus on the mistakes, right? So we know that this is a common thing. We make mistakes, and also we might have already made lots of mistakes in this podcast. So nobody is mistake free, or even native speakers make mistakes. So, but TOEFL test is something else. As far as I know, the TOEFL test is not just about finding your mistakes and lowering your score. It's about the naturalness of your language. It means they're just testing how much naturally you can use English language in the context. For example, you go to the scholarship, you want to take it, and you'll just want to, for example, get admission at that university. So can you have a kind of good communication with the students, with the teacher? Can you comprehend the lessons that you want to study there? And that's actually the kind of proficiency test to be taken here. So, for example, lots of the time, students are focusing on the grammar section. Maybe, for example, they're buying kinds of books or they're downloading ebooks. For example, one of the most common ones that we have here is 400 must have words for TOEFL, right?
Yes.
Or, for example, we have Barron's or other sources here. They think that if they memorize and also if they focus on these kinds of words or these vocabulary lists, they will ace the test. They will have, or they will take the highest score, the top score in this test. And also maybe they think that they have to work on their punctuation a lot, capitalization a lot. So these mistakes, how much are these mistakes important in this test?
Okay. Well, first of all, I would like to say everyone makes mistake, okay, in their speaking. And that is why, okay, they're called common mistakes. Common mistakes, okay, made by everyone. So those mistakes, okay, cannot be eliminated, okay, for 100%. We cannot remove them. And sometimes native speakers themselves make mistakes with the grammar. Okay, a lot of, so let's say there's a very big misconception between the students and the teachers, and that's why they do not use their English language. For example, I see some teachers, and I have seen, okay, some students, they do not speak because they are afraid to be judged if they make a mistake. Okay, so the people around them will laugh. Oh, okay, this man, okay, made a mistake. Like, okay, she make or she makes this kind of, okay, mistakes made by everyone, and that should not be the obstacle. That should not be the reason, okay, for you not to speak. So you have to speak and you have to use the language. TOEFL is not about correctness of speaking in grammar, and a lot of the students are in a big mistake because they believe if they don't have a powerful grammar, they might not be able to take the test, and they might be rejected by by TOEFL. But the thing is, TOEFL does not, okay, count those small mistakes if you make on the writing or speaking. I myself, okay, personally, when I took the test, I had some mistakes on my speaking, I had some mistakes on writing, but my result, okay, was not affected by those mistakes, and even the smallest mistakes can be ignored by the waiters. So, like a small, okay, let's say punctuation or the grammar, she make or she makes, okay, that's what I just said. These kind of mistakes cannot really reduce your score. The TOEFL is looking for the people who comprehend the language. Okay, you can use the language in academic context. You can use them at university, in college. You can use them to communicate your thoughts in both speaking and writing. That's okay what TOEFL is looking for. Another thing you need to consider is TOEFL is requiring you to, TOEFL actually is asking you to simplify things. What I mean is, in the writing section, okay, there was a difficult academic passage and there's a difficult listening passage. It is asking you to simplify those ones so that if a person like you reads, he or she should be able to understand what the listening and the reading is about. So what you should focus is the main focus, the ultimate purpose of the TOEFL or English language is the communication. We use the language to communicate. For example, take a look at Indians, at the, let's say, at the Pakistanis. Okay, all of them do make mistakes. They have terrible accent, but it doesn't mean okay they don't know the language. They know it and they use it and they get benefit from the language. So you should do the same thing. You have to get benefit from the language. For example, a friend of mine, he is a writer in Dubai. He does not know too much English. He just ultimately, in total, okay, he knows about 50 languages. Sorry, 50 sentences. And these 50 sentences are enough for him to communicate his thoughts. It's not about, okay, how much English, it's about how you can use the English knowledge you have.
Yeah, great. I am totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. Actually,
It's okay.
that was also a mistake. Um, See, for example, most of the time, students are actually focusing on the way they use the grammar and also vocabulary, and they think, as Mr. Azimi said, that they're focusing on, for example, whether this sentence is correct or not. No, just do it. And the TOEFL test doesn't focus on the grammatical mistakes or the vocabulary mistakes a lot. It's just focusing on the naturalness of your language, as I said, as far as I know, and also it's just about how much your content is well organized
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
good and accurate. That's important, but not just about punctuation or capitalization rules or, for example, the grammar rules. Just the content is very important, and also organization, clarity, pronunciation, accent. These things are very important, especially in the speaking section of the TOEFL test. So at the end, Mr. Azimi, what's your greatest advice for those students who want to take the TOEFL test? Your ultimate message.
Okay, so the last thing, okay, I would like to say, okay, as I experienced, when you go to the test, okay, when you face and when you take the real test, you understand that all the tips and tricks you learned before, well, they did not work for you there. On the TOEFL test, okay, all the tips and tricks you studied, let's say, on Collins, Longman's official guide, all of them, okay, will be forgotten very easily because there's the passage and there are the questions. You have the questions with the passage. What you need is understanding and comprehending. If you do not understand the passage and the question, it will be difficult, okay, to answer, even if you know a lot of tips and tricks, because most tips and tricks, okay, do not work, okay, on real test. Okay, for me personally, a lot of I searched and I looked for a lot of tips and tricks, okay, in particular for reading, but I found okay none of them useful, and none of them okay, could work really on the TOEFL test. So what I recommend and suggest okay for students, okay, as the last thing is working on their comprehension, improve your comprehension. That is okay the number one thing that you need to focus on. The TOEFL is about comprehending, not about tips and tricks, not about some memorized, let's say, skills or strategies that you are studying on textbooks. They really do not work there. A friend of mine, he scored the K30 on the reading section, and I told him, "How did you do this? Which book did you study? What resources you followed and you studied and practiced?" He simply said, "I did not study any of them. I just read the question, understood the question, and answered the question." So there, I understood and I realized that comprehension is important,
Mm.
not the tips and tricks. Don't follow the tips and tricks. Just work on your comprehension. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Razini, for coming here and also joining us. And it's a real podcast, and truly everything is true. And just guys, try to follow these tips and tricks and strategies that Mr. Razimi shared, and also something that I added to the content of his speaking. And it was just the gist of whatever we said about the TOEFL test, and also just to stay tuned and wait for the other podcasts that we have about the TOEFL test and also the other things in English language to improve your English journey and learning. So for now, great job to everyone, and bye bye.
Yeah, good time. Thank you so much, Mr. Zahedi, for having me. Have a great day.